Yo, what up, what up, what up? Welcome back to the Made Hoops podcast. I am your host, Austin Smith, and as you can see, I'm joined by my main guys. My brother, Eric Hampford, and my guy, Rob Noonan, are with me online today. And look, we're back for another episode, and it's time to go ahead and talk the West Coast Circuit session number 3. And a lot of action went into detail this past weekend. But first off, man, I got to show my guys some love, man. Eric, what's up with you? Rob, what's up with you? Talk to me.
Well, we just got back last night. I didn't get home till probably about 1 a.m. The West Coast trips, not gonna lie, a little rough on me as I'm getting a little older, but Portland's a dope city. I love Portland, honestly. It was nice to actually debut an event up there. I know the people in the Pacific Northwest were excited for us to kind of give them a home game for once. Usually all the Seattle guys and the Portland guys have to go to LA or Phoenix or Vegas. So it was a different feel, but it was good, man. It was everything we hoped it would be.
Good.
I'm a little more tired than I was last week, and definitely a little bit more poor because I went to the Nike store for the first time. The Nike store was pretty overrated, like I'm not gonna lie, but I still found a way to spend a lot because it was just like the experience. Like if there was something that was expensive, I was like, all right, I'm gonna grab it for the experience. Why not? Like
Drop the number, Rob. What did you spend? Don't try and hide it.
I spent $900.
Sheesh.
Well, I planned to spend $1,000, so technically I did save $100.
That's a good way. That's one way to look at it. That's one way to spend it.
And then I went to bet Odell scored first touchdown in the Super Bowl, and that won me $100. So actually, I saved $200.
Now we're reaching.
Hey, you made your investment worthwhile. Like Eric, did you have that same experience? Did you spend upwards of $1,000 at the Nike store?
He spent
no. I spent $230, I think. And like 3 of the things were for my daughter. So I got her like a baby pair of Air Force Ones, multicolor ones, which I felt like I had to do. I got her a little Nike jumpsuit. That's cool. And some booties, man. So mostly, yeah, I didn't even get a pair of shoes for myself. So I didn't go crazy like Rob. Clearly, I should have went with Rob to try and limit his spending. That's probably where we went off track.
The store wasn't that big. I was just walking around in circles like so many times. I was like, all right, I'll grab that.
Every lap was something different.
Yeah, it really was. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to buy this anywhere else, so I'm just going to buy it here now. And then retail was $1,500. So it could have gotten really ugly.
Okay.
So I saved $600.
Listen to how he keeps changing the goalpost on.
But now you gotta say, man, that's not bad. If you save $600, it's not bad.
Shipping was $45 because it was picture that, or think about this. It was 17 pounds in one box that they're shipping to my house. So I bought 17 pounds worth of clothes, and clothes aren't that heavy.
Eric, never leave this man alone, dog.
I've learned the hard way. Yes.
Never leave him alone. Well, look, man, I'm glad you all had a pretty dope experience. I've got to get up to Portland to check out that Nike store myself. We got one here in Atlanta at the infamous Lenox Mall. Don't check that out. But anyways, got to check that one out for sure. But I'm glad y'all had a good time and y'all were able to make it back safely. But let's get right to it. West Coast session number 3 obviously had a bunch of good prospects and some guys that maybe even turned some heads or continued their consistent play. Eric, for you, man, who moved the needle, brother?
There was a ton of guys, honestly. Off the top, Elijah Williams did his thing again. Since session 1, he's been one of those main dudes who are just they're different. He's different than the rest of the guys. You know, he's closing in on 6'7", can play multiple positions, has the bloodlines, getting better every session, and he's a stud at this level. Similarly, Tyron Stokes for TSF, aim high. Another guy, 6'6" plus, you know, can do everything on the court, above the rim. I mean, he probably had the most impressive weekend overall as far as individual players. From a team standpoint, Arizona Unity's still rolling, still undefeated. The House Twins were causing chaos. Cameron Holmes was causing chaos for them. Brandon McCoy Jr., again, very solid for Team Why Not favorites. The Oakland Soldiers backcourt, Rashad Cotton, Tyus Thomas, Johnny Collins were all very good. Rob, who are a few guys that you liked? I mean, my list could go on and on. I just want to break up my repetitiveness, give you a few, and we could come back to me.
Johnny Collins was great. He's one kid. I think it was I forget who they played the first game, but he was just a bucket. I mean, overall, Oakland Soldiers over the last 2 years have really started to dominate the league. Like last year, you had San Diego was really, really good, and they had a bunch of studs. And this year, I mean, and even last year, Oakland's 7th grade group was really, really good. Now their 8th grade group is good. So, I mean, shout out to Lowe and crew. I mean, they're becoming a dominant force in NorCal right now. And I mean, even when you speak about San Diego and Southern Cal too. So they've done a great job with getting a lot of the top kids. And I mean, Rashad Cotton has been unbelievable all 3 sessions. The one thing I really, really like about Cam Holmes, aside from his basketball, he's a huge personality. Like, great to speak with. Has a ton of energy on the court. So, like, aside from his skill set, I mean, his energy is probably more impressive than his skill set, and he's still just scratching the surface of who he's going to be.
There's no doubt. What did you think of like the guys like Dean Ruckert, Mason Hansen for 801 Elite? I thought they had really good weekends. I thought Kai McGrew, the 6'7" big for 801 Elite Gray, actually was very impressive in my opinion. Catrell Harmon for Seattle Rotary, I think, continues to get better and evolve.
Catrell almost had a huge moment. So they were playing. Oh, it was Tia. I forget who they lost to. I'm going to look it up, but there's a reason why I'm taking this time to look it up. So Catrell, there was a point in the game where they were down, they clawed back, they got within 2, and there was a foul called, and I was standing on the side by the bleachers, and he walks over to me and I go, "Are you going to hit a game winner?" And he goes, "Yeah." It's like, all right, let's see it. So they call a play for him, and he comes around, and it was one of those plays. He was wide open, relatively. It wasn't like a complete wide open shot. He missed it, and I was like, damn, like if he hit that would have been awesome. Obviously, nobody recorded him talking to me or like micing me up. So one, that's just the content team just has to be better and mic me up in these events.
Never would. That would never fly.
It was TSF. So he missed it, and I was like, damn, if he would have hit that would have been awesome. It was one of those shots where like he missed it, but 9 out of 10 times he would have hit it. It was just that one time that it just didn't fall.
That would have been his made moment too. He would have been on the made moment from the event that'll go out probably tomorrow.
Yeah,
and Hanson hit a game winner.
What about I know you were a fan of Brandon Martinson for PG Elite.
Yo, I love him a lot. He's good. He's like what? He's like 6'7", reaching 6'8", respectively.
Yep.
Very skilled. I went to Eric and I was like, he's got Matter Day written all over him for high school. And he goes, no, he's like actually going to Matter Day. I was like, knew it. Like he's a skilled, I'm going to say he's a stretch 4, but he could play a little bit of the wing. He can put the ball on the floor and get to the rim. He's been very, very silently good.
No, he's been very consistent. He just doesn't have that like flash game that jumps off he's incredibly consistent. Like he's been without a doubt one of the best overall productive players in the circuit in that 8th grade division. Jackson Richardson, I thought, had a really good weekend for Vegas Elite. Now that he's healthy, like he's starting to do some pretty impressive things from a physical standpoint, probably like 6'3" I'd give him at this point. Obviously longer with a wingspan, tries to block everything. I mean, he's versatile for that group. They have strong guards, but he's kind of the one that holds it all together. David Lund for ABC Spotlight, 7th grader, has been a monster for that group. JJ Satai Greer is probably the most entertaining 6th grader that we have in the circuit. Like the stuff he could do with the ball at that age is beyond impressive, honestly. And then the last kid, Rob, I know you're another fan of, Arizona Unity's 6'7", 7th grader, Paul Osaruyi.
Oh yeah. I don't know if I saw his name pop up in registration or something, but I was like, what's his name? And then Eric said Paul, and I was like, oh yeah, that's who it is. And Eric's like, stop acting like you know him. I was like, honestly, I've seen his name somewhere. I don't know why I've been looking for him somewhere, but I found him.
Yeah. No, he's got a chance to be very good, obviously, as like a 7th grader who's already 6'7", above the rim, can shoot it from 3. Like, there's a lot of upside there. So that was a long-winded way of saying there was a ton of guys who had really good weekends, honestly.
Yeah. But again, you know what I love? The fact that, again, you all are, one, taking note of each of these players who stands out, in my opinion, honestly. And I know you all do this all the time, but your ability to see all these guys at one time, and even you, Rob, I know you're running from gym to gym, but so many prospects covering, you all do a fantastic job of obviously breaking down each individual player. That allows me to ask this question, because I get asked this a lot ever since I've been able to be blessed and be a part of my Made Hoops family. But people ask me, hey, what catches the attention of guys like a Eric Hampford or Rob Noonan when their player or somebody's child is playing? Like, what are you all looking for skill wise? Obviously height, you see a big 6'7" kid walk into a gym, but what other things kind of catch your guys' attention early when you're evaluating prospects?
Yeah, I mean, that's a question that I get, I know, at events from a lot of parents. And it's obviously a very important question, right? And a lot of parents truly don't understand, which is why they're asking the question. Some parents think that it's like a point thing where it's like, oh, they got to score 15, 20 points. I honestly rarely even look at the box scores. That doesn't really factor much into what I'm evaluating, unless I'm using it as a tool to say like, whoa, like this kid has consistently done this
right
over X amount of time. And maybe it's a kid that I haven't been super high on, and it'll make me step back and say, well, he is super productive, so maybe I need to take a secondary look. I think some of the big things that I look for is, and I think the older I've gotten, the more I think about it this way, is impacting winning. Okay. Right? Like, it matters, right? Like that's the type of thing that I think a lot of guys who evaluate talent, they get lost in the shuffle by always being enamored by the big prospects, the 6'8", 6'9", the natural athletic, those things pop off the page, but there's so many of those guys that don't pan out, right? So it has to be, are you productive? Do you impact winning? Are you a winner? Are you a team player? Are you the type of kid that's willing to take a charge, right? Like, does that stuff matter to you? I'm reading body language, right? Do you just take a 20-point L and then you're laughing with your teammates after the game and it doesn't really mean anything to you because you got yours, even though you lost? Like, that's a red flag, in my opinion. That's how I look at it. And maybe that's just me being kind of more of an old school evaluator in those terms, but those are some of the things I look at. I mean, it's just, how do you make an impact on winning? That's one of the most important things I look for. Rob, I don't know about you.
So, like, I mean, we do our first team all circuits, and you have a kid that his team could go 0-4, but he scored 25 points a game.
Yeah.
But that doesn't actually, it impacts the winning, because obviously if you win, it looks great, but at the same time, it's a total team game. So it's, you want to reward as many kids as possible, but it's hard to reward teams that just don't win as far as accolades.
And truthfully, that kind of leads me to an even bigger point. One thing that I left out, I'm evaluating the parents, point blank, period. Like, if I'm dealing with a crazy parent, I know that that's going to be a problem that follows that child throughout wherever they go, right? Whether it's the next level at high school, college, beyond, so forth. That parent is most likely always going to be an issue if they're an issue now, as far as not being able to sit back and let a coach coach. Some of these parents, basically talk down on their kids' teammates. It's like there are these bad markers that you see with certain parents that no matter how talented a kid is, coaches don't want to deal with those type of parents. They just don't.
But you're like, even the point is, talking down on another kid, it's like evaluators are evaluating everything. And I don't think that they realize they're evaluating how the parents speak about the other kid. It's like, we're not dumb. I know exactly what you're doing. You're trying to talk to me and talk down about another kid to elevate your kid. But it's not like I just did not watch your kid play. Like I know how your kid plays. And then when you do scouting reports and stuff like that, and coaches are calling you asking, you can't sugarcoat that stuff because it's like you could be like, oh no, he's great, and his parents are great. So then when they go to that coach and they're playing high school or college and their coach is getting their door beat down by a parent, it's like you have to be able to tell these people, you have to be honest and have honest conversations with these people.
Well, ultimately, that's going to come back on you if you give an endorsement and you leave that part out. I mean, you can't put your name on that when you know that it's a red flag situation. And that's my biggest thing is I always get worried that it's going to rub off on that kid, right? It's not like every bad parent is not the word. Reactive parent, helicopter parent, those are probably better terms. Yeah. That doesn't always get in the way, right? But a lot of times it does. And there are a lot of times where those things rub off on the kid too, and they become a problem in the locker room. And it's just, that's a huge part of it. And we can't act like that it's not.
No, that's great stuff. And the reason I asked that question is because, again, I get asked all the time about parents, what do you guys look for? But then at the same time, one of the benefits of this podcast, we can give that kind of insight. And then it comes from firsthand from you, E, and you, Rob. That's great content to have and for people to take a note of. So share that with a friend. If you were listening right now, like replay that over and over again so you can understand, because this stuff does ultimately affect your playing career. You don't want to have anything that'll hinder you back from those potential relationships or your recruitment or your development as you get older. So good stuff, guys. I appreciate you all taking the time on that little segment right there. I do want to get back to that West Coast Session 3 again, because I want to talk about your favorite game that you all saw. And E, if you had one, Rob, if you had one, let's talk about that for a second. Was there a primetime matchup that was like, boom, this is it?
It was definitely Arizona Unity versus Seattle Rotary, 8th grade. I mean, that.
Oh, I was going to say that. I got to think of another game.
That game brought all the energy. Like between both of those rosters, a ton of talent. AZ Unity came into the weekend undefeated still, so they kind of had the target on their back. And the first half was actually really good. Like there was a few big time dunks. The energy was there. The court was completely filled all the way around with spectators. And then in the second half, AZ Unity just kind of like they had their foot on the gas and just kind of pulled away. And they proved, hey, we're the number one team in this circuit. And we plan on being the ones who hoist the championship trophy in California next month. And to me, that was as big a statement game as they could have had, because when we had the conversation last week, it was, who's the favorite going into Session 3 and championship weekend? And I know both of us said TBD. Like obviously Arizona Unity was undefeated, but we wanted to see what they could do against another big time team. And Rotary was, they looked the part. They had the guys, and they stamped it. And Cam Holmes, coming back to him just as a personality, he was barking the entire game and was just kind of saying, we do this. We're the number one team in this circuit. We're here to prove this. And he used that as his moment, honestly, to show like, hey, AZ Unity, like there's a reason they've been number one all circuit long, and they'll stay in that position until they lose a game, if they lose a game.
All right. Rob, did you have an additional one, man, or you think you're just going to side with E on that one? Sound like it was a really good game.
It was a good game. I'm currently scrolling, thinking about other games that could have been better. But yeah, there was.
Max Levels Elite and District 6th grade, I believe, was a pretty good game too. I saw bits and pieces of it.
That was a good game, and so was Squad and District later on that night. It was one of the last game sets of the day. Squad won that game as well. Squads, they have so much energy. Like their parents love it. I just go to their games just to watch their parents. They're so into it. Like they're more yelling at each other about getting excited more than like they don't really yell at anybody else, but like each other as fans, like they love it. I love watching squad play.
Nah, that's dope. Always having the parents and fan love is cool. That's pretty unique.
Sixth grade environment is different than 7th and 8th grade. Like,
Yeah, you already know.
you already know when it's a 6th grade game.
You know, eighth grade is like the level where the kids are starting to get, not to say they're not like cool and don't want their parents there, but it's that transitioning stage. It's like, oh, you know, mom, dad come cool, but like 6th grade, they fresh out, man. It's
Yo, 6th grade, it's squad is pulling up. Mom, dad, aunt, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, family friend, like the whole squad is pulling up to the game.
If you get fouled, it's a big deal. Like they think it's personal. They start screaming. Yeah.
Great environment with the 6th grade games. Always great environment.
Nah, I love it. I love it. One final question for you guys. Let's talk about the play of the weekend. I've got an idea of what it may be, and from what I've seen, but like I want to hear from you two always. What was the play of the weekend this past weekend in Portland?
For me, it was Caden House.
Yeah.
On the break.
Yeah.
In the Seattle Rotary game, in front of a packed house, literally threw one down over a defender in pursuit. And it looked worse in real time, I think, than it did even on the video. Okay. And I think part of it was like, it was the turning point stamp of the game. Like, this is Unity's game. Like, that was their punctuation mark. So it was one of those all encompassing moments where it was just like, okay, yeah, that was the cherry on top, but that was definitely the moment of the weekend for me.
Rob, anything caught your eye?
Same play, honestly.
I mean, that's how it is at times, though. Like, if it's one good play,
it's either Eric's following me and we're getting the same plays, or I'm following Eric. But there's no.
I'm with you, bro. He's following you.
So let me ask you this, Rob. Like, as far as the girls from this past weekend, what teams kind of position themselves well going into championship weekend? Or was there a girl or two who either you wanted to see more of and got that chance to see, or somebody who kind of jumped off the page to you that you weren't really aware of?
So Tree of Hope overall, their 8th grade. It was funny because Mo told me, he was like, yo, after the first session, they were okay. Like they won all their games, but they just looked okay. Session 2, they lost the game. And he's like, we'll be good. And then they haven't lost since then. So Mo always has a really good collection of talent. I think my favorite team to watch play is Cal Storm, just because of how George Quintero coaches his girls. Like, he's so fundamental and developmental. You actually get a lot, like, learning wise from him as a spectator. Like, I just like watching him coach because everything he does is so interesting, like logical, strategic. So I just like watching him and what he does overall, because over the years he's produced so much talent, and you can tell why. I think Mob dropped a game to West Coast Premier, who West Coast Premier came strong session 3. One girl that I always enjoy watching play is Erin Finley. She's been a standout since she's been in 7th grade, multiple sessions. Now in 8th grade, she's still a standout. So West Coast Premier has a stud in her and has for a while. And then, I mean, you got Cal Swish. They've been dominant throughout the whole entire league. I mean, I think they dropped one game this weekend, but I mean, from charisma to, I mean, they just have an overall such a collection of talent of girls who are good now. And then if you wait maybe 2 more years, they're probably going to have 4 or 5 like high level players. So, I mean, and even Swish Select, they have a group who are definitely being overlooked. They finished the weekend off beating Cal Storm. They're going to lock in a 3 seed. or a 2 seed, and I mean it's anyone's league for this West Coast League. Northwest Select and James Perchin. I actually posted a video on my Instagram to indicate we're gonna put a video. It was the last game of the day. Obviously, like everyone's tired. I'm tired. The girls are tired, and they won their game. They're probably the top seed in their pool, and they picked up every water bottle after the game and Gatorade bottle. And I think one thing over the course of the league is it's been a mess on the benches, but like I said, the factors that put into it, being tired, they won. They're a top team in their division. They cleaned up all the bottles before they left. They all came over and gave me a high five and said thank you. And SES Elite, or I'm sorry, SES Select with Coach Courtney. I mean, she has another talented group too. So West Coast Premier coming and making the late jump after they missed session 2 to SES Select, to Northwest Select, to Mob, to like they've all beaten each other. So
Hey, Rob,
what?
let's stop beating around the bush. Who are your championship picks?
Yeah,
Bro, you actually kind of scared me. I thought I said something like wrong, and I thought you were about to pause it.
Nah, you're giving props to everybody and doing this and doing
pick a
cool,
side, bro.
cool, but who's winning the championship in each division coming up in LA next month? That's what the people want to know.
You on the spot, Rob. No pressure.
I actually don't like. There's a lot of things I don't know, but this is what I actually don't know. So if I'm gonna pick,
Yes.
I'll go. Oh
You want to start with the boys?
no! I'm gonna start 7th grade girls. 7th grade girls.
Okay.
If I'm gonna go 7th grade girls, I am going to go with the Blackhawks.
Okay.
Solid all year. They've only dropped one. If I'm gonna go with and Unity too. I hope everyone has a great time. I think we're all gonna be winners.
Yeah, stop.
Not gonna happen.
Not happening.
Trophies are gonna be handed out.
Get the politics off here. Make your picks, bro.
All right, 7th grade, Tree of Hope Nike. 8th grade, Cal Swish.
Okay. What about boys?
Oakland Soldiers, 8th grade.
Okay.
I just picked that honestly solely because of Johnny Collins. I love watching Johnny Collins play.
Wow. Okay.
So
One
wherever
player.
Johnny Collins is going, I'm going. I'm picking Oakland.
Okay. Any other grades?
Nope.
He said no.
Nope.
All right. So I'll do my picks. 8th grade. I can't go against AZ Unity.
I was about to say.
I mean, I'm not gonna make a pick just to try and stir up the pot. I mean, they're undefeated for a reason. Like they are who they are. Arizona Unity 8th.
Just being a follower, not a leader.
7th grade, I'm going with Seattle Rotary. And 6th grade is tough. 6th grade, I think I'm gonna go with District in 6th grade.
I'm going Real Run. Real Run with 6th grade.
Real Run's good. That's actually a nice pick. I like that.
I'm going Real Run, and then I'm going Rotary for 7th grade because Daryl had the 6th graders last year, and I'm pretty positive they lost a tough one in the chip or the semifinals, and then they came back and haven't lost this year. I'm still going with Rotary.
Redemption story. I like it. Okay.
Eric doesn't know the true history. That's just it.
Stop.
Okay. Those are good picks, guys. As always, hey, give Eric and Rob a shout on Twitter, man, and let them know if y'all agree or disagree with their picks. Don't fear. Go at them in the mentions. Go at them. Like if you agree with it, let them know. If you don't, let them know.
Stir up the engagement.
Wait, can I point up and be like, and like my Twitter name comes right here?
Check out their Twitter names above their profiles. You'll see them. Go follow them on Twitter, and then that way y'all can engage with them and let them know if their picks are accurate or not. I love just making sure they have to deal with the pressure of being right or wrong.
No doubt, and we will be revisiting our East picks.
Hey, we forget
weekend as well.
We have not forgotten at all.
We will do the total tally between Rob and I once both championship weekend the dust settles.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Did you pick girls winners for the East Coast?
Did I?
I thought we did.
I know I did. Did you?
I don't think I did. We could.
Well, you're gonna have to because it will be unfair scoring.
Yeah, that's true. I still got 2 more weeks to get a pod in with those picks, though, for me to do my research to make sure that I get exactly the answers that I want.
Yeah, okay.
We'll give you the 2. Fellas, appreciate y'all, man. This is awesome as always. Everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is episode number 4. Eric Hampford, Rob Noonan. I am Austin Smith. Thanks for tuning in to the Made Hoops podcast. Hope y'all are having a great day. Stay tuned. Part 2 is coming up next. So don't miss a beat right after this. Yo, what up? What up? Welcome back to part 2 of episode 4 of the Made Hoops podcast. Look, if you got a chance to listen to part 1, man, a lot of great content from our guys, Rob and Eric, just talking about the West Coast Session 3. So some good content. But now for part 2, we've got a special guest in the building. I feel like I say special guests all the time, but when we have people who have paved the way for the next generation online with us, man, it's truly a special treat. This guy right here really needs no introduction, but if you don't know, now you know, man. I want to go ahead and welcome NBA veteran and now a promising and super dope coach in the building, our guy, Jamal Crawford. Jamal, man, how you doing, brother?
I'm great. Thanks. That was a heck of an introduction, Austin. I felt that energy. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it.
Man, the pleasure is all mine. Look, if you don't know Jamal Crawford, just go type in Jamal Crawford handles, okay, on YouTube and just start there. I feel like you learn everything you need to know from an intro point about who Jamal Crawford is, but you talk about, man, a player who had an incredible career, multiple 6 Man of the Year awards. He had to stop here in my hometown of Atlanta, so I got to show him some love there. But he's doing some incredible things now on our Made Hoops platform with coaching the Seattle Rotary 6th grade team. So, Jamal, I want to start there, brother. Tell us, what's it been like, man, having the pleasure of coaching your son?
It's nothing like it, to be honest with you. So my wife, she got me into it a couple years ago, and she was like, there's like an in-house league that Rotary does. It's basically like just in-house. It's just people that are members of the club. And it's like, you know, just lower level kids, but it's cool. So I'm like, it's pressure coaching. I don't know. So I did that, and I was like, this was fun. So then, you know, pandemic happened. And I was cool just being the parent that was just keeping score. Like, I love keeping score. I love doing the clock. You know, at times at games, sometimes people come up to me. I love that part too. But I realized my son was like, well, Dad, you're not really watching me play. So I'm like, well, this is a perfect thing. I can keep score. I can stay locked in the game. I can do all the other stuff afterwards. Yeah. And then, you know, I got bit by the coaching bug again. I did in-house again. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going for it this time. And this time I'm all in. I love doing it. There's nothing I would rather do. Whether it be playing TV, I get more excited to go to the gym and coach these kids and practices. And we have practice plans and everything. So for me, it's the greatest joy, and it's unbelievable because I didn't see it coming.
Nah, I love it. I love it. Well, we got our guy, Rob Noonan, on. You probably know Rob, man. He's our event director. Rob, go ahead.
Rob's the man.
Yeah, Rob's the guy.
So obviously playing in the league, you're always held to this sky high expectation. How do you transition that into your son? And like, how do you meet him somewhere in the middle where it's like it's 6th grade basketball, but you have this, because I've watched you coach and you're not one of those guys that's screaming, going over the top. I feel like NBA guys are one of two. You're either out of your mind crazy, or you're just calm and collected because you know what you're doing. You've been at that level.
Yeah, I think I'm the latter because I understand the big picture as well. You know what I mean? And there's steps that you can't skip no matter what. And it's different now because kids get so much attention. Like, I wasn't really introduced to the world till I was 16, 17, right? So, and that was like playing against pros, word of mouth. There was no social media. If there was, that would have been crazy because I was playing a pro-am in Derek Christie's league, which is now my pro-am. And after a slow start, I averaged 30 the rest of the way. And I'm playing against Sean Kemp, Damon Stoudemire, Yinka Dare, Cliff Robinson. So I'm playing against pros. I'm having a lot of success. So, you know, I'm not sure I was ready for it before that, but when my game felt like it was time and the pros gave me validation, like, yo, you can make it, that's when it became more believable for me. And for these kids, this is the foundation for them, right? And like, it's just about like setting the foundation so they look back like, man, that's when I first learned what a L cut was, or when I first learned what a denial was, or first learned what shell defense was. And like, so those moments I'm very cognizant of, and I always think big picture with them. And I want them to really enjoy this process as well.
And going off of that, I mean, when you played, social media wasn't a factor, right? So like,
right.
So what's, I guess, the biggest takeaways, whether it be social media or just the play style or what you went through your process? What does Made Hoops do that's different than what you had when you were younger?
Made Hoops is amazing because you're seeing all the best, right? And I love the fact that it's a league. So you're not just seeing, it was easy for us to go to a tournament here, go to a tournament there and see the best teams for one weekend and you don't see them anymore. Coming to Made Hoops gets you sharp and it gets you better because you're seeing these teams every single session. You know what I mean? Once a month, you're seeing the best teams out there and teams you'd only see 3 times every 3 months, based on how your travel schedule. So I love the fact that it's a league. You see the young boys and young girls. I find myself watching the girls' side just as much as the boys' side. Like, I love that everybody's in one like melting pot where you see everybody and it's right there. I look forward to every session. And so I was more than ecstatic that we made the playoffs. I was psyched about that.
Because the first game, I want to say, did you play district the first game?
No. Yeah, we played district.
In Arizona.
That first session was rough. You said
from that point, from that game to now, you rattled off 4 or 5 wins, and then you get into the playoffs. That just speaks to how much your team has grown from point A to point B in the start.
And it's part of the journey, right? And it's not always the destination, but the journey. And that's what I'm telling them. I'm like, look how far we've come. Because literally the first session, we lost to district by 30 plus. We lost to Arizona Unity by 30 plus, and we lost Max Press by 50. I'm like, what are we doing here, right? And so, but went back to the drawing board, and that was only, which is interesting, we only had played 4 games coming into that. We played 1 tournament. So to see now, I can call play sets, and they know it like the back of their hand. I can call plays now where we need a 3 with 5 seconds left, and we don't have to call a timeout to set it up. Like, we're so in tune now. And it's a credit to them and the growth they've shown, because they're, like you said, they're 11 years old. So the growth they've shown in a short amount of time, and I think Made Hoops has played a major part in that, because that's always my teaching point, right? In practice, if they're getting off focus. You remember what happened the first session of Made Hoops. You remember how we lost. Like, these things, man, they get their attention immediately, and these things matter. So it's helped make us a better team as well.
No, I love it. I love it. Well, let's go ahead and get right to it in terms of the program and the team. What does the Seattle Rotary program really mean to you, Jamal?
It's everything. I actually played for the program when I was in 5th grade. And what's interesting about that is I was really good in the YMCA and those type leagues. When we got to AAU and I played for Rotary, they usually keep 10 guys. I was the 10th guy, literally. I was the 10th best player on the team. And so we had all these guys, and it wasn't that my skill level wasn't there, my confidence wasn't there. Like, these YMCA moves really work when I'm playing against guys from North Carolina or guys from Vegas or wherever they might be from, and just that confidence and that belief. And so for me, being the 10th guy in Rotary, I was like, I don't like this feeling. I want to get better. And my mom didn't come complain. My dad didn't come complain about me not playing enough. It was on me. I looked in the mirror like, I got to get better. I got to turn this confidence on. So I think the best way to get that confidence is just work ethic. So I just fell in love with the grind. Didn't play AAU again, traveling wise, until going into my last year of high school. So I just disappeared off the map and got better and got better and got better and got better until I felt my confidence was there. And then I just took off from there. But Rotary is everything to our community. You have had myself, DeJounte Murray, Kevin Porter, Aaron Brooks, Marvin Williams, Peyton Seaver, Terrence Williams. Mainly every single pro that's come through the city has played for Rotary. And it means so much to our community because it's not just like a basketball program. Like, they take people. I was one of the kids. I was the 10th guy on the team. I was one of the kids that couldn't afford a trip. And they worked with me. Like, we'll find a way to patch it together. Don't worry about it. And it wasn't like I was a star player. They were doing this for. Like, I was the last guy on the team. And so just that family atmosphere and everything they've done in the community, Daryl Hennings, Dan Finkley, those two in particular, because they really kind of started the Rotary program, taking it to another level, is just amazing. Because now I was with the Phoenix Suns, and I heard Devin Booker, I heard DeAndre Ayton talk about Rotary. Like, yeah, Rotary? Oh, those battles we had with them. So to know that it was just literally like a community thing and it's spread across the country is just amazing. And now we'll have a top pick in Paulo Banchero coming out as well.
Wow. Yeah, you talked about longevity, man. That's some heavyweight list you got there, brother, in terms of players that have stepped foot and obviously been a part of Seattle Rotary who are now doing bigger and better, man, in their pro careers. So that's really awesome to hear. You talked about development too, Jamal, in your game as a player, but now you got to do some development and you're learning how to handle all these kids and coach. Tell us about your coaching style. What does that look like when you're on the floor?
Well, it's unbelievable because I'm consumed with it. I'm blessed where I can, do a lot of stuff from home. So every single day, like Rob mentioned, we played district early and we talked about Max Preps. I already knew who they were. I already had a whole scouting report on every single team. Right. It didn't help. We didn't win the games, but I had a scouting report for every single team. And our practice plans are detailed to the minute. We have every single thing detailed for those 2 hours that we're in there. And it's just about what they need, development. We have skill work every single day. My promises to the parents is we're going to get better. We're going to learn the game of basketball. And we're going to be good young men off the court. And so it's almost like you're a father to, 11 kids now, right? It's not just one. You're their male role model they see outside their house that they really respect every single, 3 times a week. And so it's just amazing because my coaching staff, I've had 20 coaches in the NBA. I think it's a record. And they all had different styles, whether it be Doc Rivers or Larry Brown or Isaiah Thomas or Mike Woodson or Mike D'Antoni or whoever it was. And I'm able to steal from all of them. Yeah. And so I'm able to inflect some of their thoughts, but also the way I see the game as well. And I think it's a really good environment for the kids to grow in. I think they're learning the game, they're learning terminologies. Now I don't really have to correct them. They've heard the stuff so much, they know the mistakes they made and they can correct them themselves. And so it's just an unbelievable thing. I'd rather do nothing else. Like I've literally turned down front office jobs. I've turned down coaching jobs. I even turned down going to be a vet and not play on a team, be on the roster to coach these kids. So I'm all in with them.
Man, they're blessed to have an encyclopedia of knowledge. That's dope, bro. Like that's the only way.
Thank you.
I do have to ask about a couple players in your roster, 2 in particular. The first being your son, JJ. What parts of JJ's game do you see that you had in yourself? And then how much of that is taught versus natural? Because if I'm correct, I remember hearing podcasts or video interviews long ago where you talked about, man, some of my game was kind of natural, but you worked on it a lot, but some of it was natural. How much of JJ's game do you have again? And then how much of his game is taught versus natural like yours may have been?
I promise to God, I'm not saying this because of my son, but he has a natural feel for the game, like a really natural feel. And some of the things that are natural to him, he doesn't know they're natural. Like we were watching tape the other day and he did something, it was something subtle. He didn't even score the ball, but we ran a play and we wanted to get William, who we're probably about to ask about next, but we'll talk about JJ first. And we threw the ball to JJ and JJ just held it still like a statue, but he did it to let William get in position. And the whole sell of the play was something I was like, that's pro-like. Like that's what guys don't understand. And Chris Paul always talked about a lot. You'll see the finished product of a play, but the setup, the sale, how do you sell the play? You have to, and Doc Rivers used to always say, when you're running a play, you have to make it look the same every single time, even if it's not for you. Like when football players run their routes, it may not be for the receiver that time, but he has to run his route like he's getting it. And so JJ set the ball up and just his natural feel. We always talk about, I'm like, all right, I want to see if you can be better than I was at this age the rest of the way. And every year he's beaten so far. So, I mean, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think his future is really bright. I think he's going to be like a 6'7" point guard, to be honest with you, at the end of the day. And so more than always just scoring, I want his feel to be there because I feel like skill will develop and we'll continue to do that. But the feel is something you can't really teach. And we watch a lot of film and he learns a lot. He's really in love with it. I'll tell you a funny story about him and then we can move if you want to. But I was playing with the Clippers and we just played the Lakers. We saw Kobe walking out the garage and JJ's this was Kobe's last year. So it was 2016, 6 years ago. JJ's 5. Mm-hmm. And JJ said, Dad, can I go say something to Kobe? And I said, yeah, we can go over there. And obviously me and Kobe were friends. So I said, let's go over there. So he goes up to Kobe and he said, and I told this story before, but he says, can you come to my house so we can play one-on-one? And Kobe stops and he looks at him and he says, you wouldn't beat me. I'll just post you up. He said, but don't ever lose that attitude. And I have part of that conversation on video, but I have pictures from that day. And he was like, but don't ever change that attitude. And Jay's like, all right. Kobe's like, you'll try to cross me over like your dad? And Jay's like, yeah. He was like, you wouldn't beat me, but I'll post you up, but don't ever lose that attitude. And then I said, JJ, you want a picture with Kobe? And he was like, no. Like they were competition, like, no. And Kobe scooped him up, like, no, you're taking a picture with me. And JJ has his Gatorade. And Rob, I'll send you the picture. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
So,
Send me that.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's interesting because now the thing I think made hoops has really helped with him is his confidence. Because his skill's always been there, right? He's 11, he's in sixth grade, so he's a little bit younger for his grade, but the skill's always been there, but the confidence, like this last session, he averaged 17 for the session, right? And I'm like, that was like his kind of like coming out party, I guess, as far as on that level. And so that kind of confidence, I'm telling you, when my confidence like that turned on when I was 16. And once that confidence turns on, it doesn't turn off. So, and people get at different ages. Mine came at 16, it came a little bit later, but it never turned off to this day. Austin, if you ever run up on me, I'll show you what I'm talking about, right? So, but no, it's just amazing to see his growth and development. And I'm very, very happy to be a part of his journey.
Yeah, we see it too, bro. Clearly. I mean, JJ's doing this thing, man. And only time will tell as he continue to blossom how far he'll be able to go. But he's doing great things right now. And as a young fella, as obviously got you as a pops and the basketball culture he's got around him, man, you only can believe that it's going to continue to grow. So that's always pretty awesome to hear. And like you said, I do want to talk about Will Conroy Jr. for a second. And you know, I've been following. IT is one of my favorite players, right? And we'll talk about him later on, like y'all's relationship. But I saw IT working with Will and his pops at Washington during the summer. So I've seen Will work, and then I've seen the highlights that have come around that. Tell us about Will's game and just, you know, him playing up with the sixth grade group. Talk to us about his talent.
I'm not sure I've ever seen a kid this good at this age, to be honest with you. Like, and the crazy part is also he's just as good in football as he is in basketball. Like I think the number one running back in the country for his grade. So his will to win, his will and how skilled and how developed he is already, that's his dad. His dad was just like, his dad's my best friend. So his dad was just like that. Everything he's pouring into his son and JJ, because he trains JJ too. I don't really train JJ. I will get shots up and we talk the game and stuff. I think sometimes it's good to hear a different voice. Like we talk about the game and we do a lot of stuff now, especially with the pandemic. But Will trains both of them. And so they both go through it and they kind of just, he's been an unbelievable source of reason. And like you said, part of the reason Will trains him too is my game was so natural. I've never once did a cone drill in my life. Right. If I did a cone drill, it would look like I've never dribbled the ball before. I did it in Phoenix and they were like, what's going on? It looked like the Monstars came and got my handles. Right. So my whole thing is off of flow and like rhythm and natural. Like you can show me something I can think. The crazy part about me is I can think something in my head and I can go out and do it. I've never done it before. I've never practiced. I can think it up one time and go do it. Will teaches a way that is structured, but also adds that flavor as well. And that's what makes William special, right? And Williams is out of this world good. And he's so coachable. He's a coach pleaser. Like he loves to please his coach. I almost have a cheat code, to be honest with you, because most kids that age, they can't even grasp some of the stuff that you may tell them as a coach. He can go out there and not only grasp, but apply it and understand it immediately. And it makes our team better. He gives our team confidence and they know how to play with him. He knows how to play with them. He's special. I mean, he's one of a kind. He's William the Great, you know, and it's amazing to be able to coach both those guys because their love for the game. They'll be at the house or outside or even on Dunkables in William's house, and they'll just be on that little rim or outside for hours and hours and hours and hours. Yeah. And so it's really, really cool sometimes when they hear away from myself and Will, right? Because if you can have a Kyrie give words to both of them, or you could have, you know, they saw and talked to LeBron probably a month ago. We went to a Laker game in Westbrook and see that. That's where the inspiration comes from, to keep going and want to be a part of that life, right? And so I'm blessed to be able to coach both of them, but he's something different.
Wow. Nah, that's dope, man. I mean, again, I think the coolest part about it, JC, honestly, bro, is that, you know, both of these young fellas are competing at a high level at an early age, but they're able to, again, number one, process the information that you guys are telling them. They're handling everything in terms of obviously their father figures and being on the Mayhew's platform, but now in the era where everything is kind of social media dominant. And so to take all that in, still be able to perform, the thing about Will being coachable was huge. You know, I love the fact that when we talked about JJ, he saw Kobe and was like, nah, like I don't want a picture, like I want to compete.
Yeah.
But that's impressive. That really is. And that speaks kudos to you, man, and how you've been able to just be a big factor in influence in their lives. So that's pretty cool. That is. We got about 10 minutes left, Jamal. So look, I want to keep this quick as we can. Want to run through some NBA questions for a second. How were you able to have the longevity you had during your career in the NBA?
Staying in love with the game. Also, when I was a kid, I used to say, I'll pay the NBA to let me play on the court. I didn't have nothing but, you know, $4 or $5, but I'm like, man, I'll give them whatever I got to be on the court. They didn't have to pay me. Like, I lived a dream. Like, it's just amazing because I used to dream about being able to get out there. And not for the money, but because it was the best players in the world. And I got a chance to play against them. And I dreamed about it. I had a vision for it ever since I was a kid. If you talk to people that are older than me, they would tell you, like, Jamal always had his basketball. He always had some candy. Like, those two things were hand in hand. So that's where my handle came from. I kept the basketball with me. I would go to sleep with my basketball. Basketball would be right next to me. Every car I own to this day has a basketball in it. Like, so my love for the game is what kept me going. I never was jaded. I was never like, yeah, I made it to the NBA. That's like, I'm the man or any of that. Like, I was like, I'm living a dream. And I was doing it in real time because I was able to process it. I didn't wait till it was over. Like, man, I live a dream. I was like, no, man, I got to shoot with Jay-Z. Like, Michael Jordan picked me to be in a commercial. This is crazy. Like, I was a fan the whole time. You know what I mean? Like, when I saw Allen Iverson for the first time, it was like seeing, like, I couldn't believe it. I crossed myself over when I was guarding because I knew it was coming. I'm like, here it comes. Go the other way. Like, I've seen it so many times. Like, I had 35 pictures on my wall of Allen Iverson. So the fact I got a chance to play against him, and like, it's not even real. I remember going to the library in school on NBA.com. It would take 10 minutes for a 10-second Allen Iverson clip to load. And I sat there patiently. And it'd be one clip. And that was it. And to watch it again, you had to let it load for another 10 minutes. So I was like, but I love this game so much. I used to collect basketball cards. So I could tell you everything about every player. I studied the game. Yeah. When I lived in LA, I used to sneak in the Forum. And I remember telling Nick Van Exel, coached me in Atlanta, who's one of my favorite players, by the way. But I told him, like, yeah, you used to have the green Benz, the coupe with the number 9 chain. He was like, man, who are you, TMZ? How'd you know this? I'm like, nah, like, I used to study the game and watch people and watch how they moved. And like, I'm 13 years old. Like, so I always had this vision. And the fact I was able to play so long was just pure love of the game. Sorry, so long-winded, but I had to get
you're good. You're good.
Backdrop to that. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I'll fire another NBA question for you. Who are some of your favorite teammates, Jamal? If you can give us maybe a quick list of a couple and name drop for us.
Man.
I know that's tough.
All the way back. Yeah. I'll just tell you people, like, I mean, playing with, obviously, Blake and Chris, playing with DJ, playing with JJ Redick, playing with Grant Hill, playing with Paul Pierce, Scottie Pippen, Charles Oakley, playing with Stephon Marbury, you know, like, so many talented people, playing with guys I admired growing up. Yeah. Playing with Monte Ellis was fun. I think he's one of the more underrated players. Joe Johnson, same thing. Yeah. Right? Stack Jack, Matt Barnes. I played with some Nate Robinson who I played high school with. It's so many people, man. It's hard to name just a few, so I named a bunch.
Nah, that's perfect. That's perfect. All right, we got one time for one more, and I got to do this one because I think it encompasses everything that Jamal Crawford stands for in regards to Seattle Washington. We know you got Seattle on your back, JC, right? And there's a long list of notable players that have come through the area. You talk about Zach LaVine. You talk about DeJounte Murray.
I hope I don't think I know you're going. But go ahead.
No. Isaiah Thomas, Nate Robinson, Brandon Roy. There's so many. My final question on today's episode is this: what makes Seattle basketball players?
Good job.
Can you pick?
Make you pick. I want to go make you.
I'm like, Rob, what'd you bring me up here for?
No. I would never do that. I can't do that.
Y'all different, JC. We got to know, man, real quick.
I think love of the game. Like, it's different up here. And when I was coming out, it was just a big thing to get a scholarship off. And if you got one that went to like Arizona or Michigan or North Carolina, or one of these big schools that people back home could see, that was like the end all be all. You know what I mean? It wasn't this NBA boom at all. Del Christie was there. Clint Richardson had played, but that was way before us. Same with James Edwards. And then seeing Jason Terry at Arizona and then going to the NBA. And then I came through. And when I was in Chicago, I was watching how they moved and how they did things. They worked out together, but it wasn't like I saw them doing a lot of like community stuff together, or like really hanging out, right? And so what I did was, I'm like, all right, when I go home, I want to make sure that the next one's coming up.
Yeah.
So I'm reaching back and I'm always there. So Dennis Brandon Roy, Nate Robinson, Terrence Williams, Peyton Siva, Aaron Brooks, Isaiah Thomas, Martell Webster. But all these guys, like if Isaiah has an event, he knows that 10 of us are going to be there to support him. If I have my prom, I know all of them are going to play. If DeJounte Murray has a backpack, we're all going to be there to support him. And there's a 14-year-old right now who can text DeJounte. There's a 15-year-old who can text Zach LaVine and say, hey, break down this film with me. And they'll respond. And so with that, the ecosystem we've created is like, it's not the crabs in the bucket mentality. It's not like I made it, all you guys sit here. It's like, no, I made it. I got the blueprint. Come follow me. I got it. And then the only thing you want in return is you do it for the next one. There's a I'm in sixth grade coaching, but there's a 7th grader, 8th grader right now who can text Kevin Porter Jr. and ask for advice. And they're going to respond and let them in the gym with them. And that changes everything, because once you have that fuel, I know what it did for me. Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Doug Christie come to my games. Once I had that fuel, like they got my back and I had their support. It's like, oh, it's over. And that's kind of how it went.
Man, I love it. That's dope. I've always been a fan of just seeing how Seattle has continued to be a basketball staple, which I can get the NBA team. I would love for that to happen. Maybe
we gotta have it. We gotta have it.
But again, Jamal, thank you so much for this interview, brother. Everyone, again, this is Jamal Crawford, man, an NBA veteran, incredible career, one of the incredible people in the basketball space. And now he's doing a great job coaching the Seattle Rotary 6th grade basketball team. So thanks again, JC. Everyone, thanks for tuning in to part 2 of episode number 4. This is the Made Hoops podcast. I'm your host, Austin Smith, joined with my guy, Rob Noonan, who's our event director. And again, we had a special guest in the building today, Jamal Crawford, former NBA vet, an incredible vet, and now an incredible coach, coaching grassroots basketball for Seattle Rotary. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll see y'all again on episode number 5.
Appreciate it.